Uh, all right. We'll give everybody a few more minutes to uh, sign in, sign on. Where did you find that, Mark?
This the Cathedral of Notre Dame has delivered the Go Irish Guinness. I happen to like it because it's a couple extra ounces.
Hey,
And
great minds think alike there, buddy.
I've had a stout with a one Connor Malloy in person somewhere in the 312.
Yeah,
Go. There you go.
I'd have been a witness to that.
Which one?
Well, Aaron only says like I only get to know you if I get to have a beer and tell a life story. So I that's how I know Aaron, and then of course that means that then I know Connor. So that's how it works.
It works out. It works out. So the way JLC falls this year, if we were all really smart, we could go to Boston for St. Patrick's Day.
Don't even kid me. That's
Really?
that's a birthday bucket list thing.
The thing is, will Boston have any Irish? I don't know that they celebrate St. Patty's Day in Boston.
Not one bit.
No, not
Talk
at all.
about outfits. Oh, I got an outfit that you guys don't want to hang out with me, and I will wear it all day long.
Oh, that's a true statement. You have outfits that we don't want to see. That's a true statement.
Yeah, not even talking about my birthday suit. I'm talking about the one that I wear out in public that's acceptable on my birthday, which is St. Patrick's Day.
Speaking of JLC,
I have no issues with that.
If we're thinking
I don't
about
base my
JLC, Aaron, we should remember, do we have to be in Portland before JLC or after JLC? That's the magic question.
Afterwards.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, September, Mass Timber is in Toronto with Rodoblas. Big conference happening in your world, Connor.
That's right. That's right. It's at, I think GBC is one of the hosts.
This September?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
This
September.
September. Yeah, I believe it's at one of the buildings. And it's a collaboration between Brookfield Sustainability Institute and maybe the Tall Wood Building Council.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. Hi, Lori.
There we are, Lori.
I'm here. Oh my God. Just had a weird experience anyway. I was speaking at an event and there was supposed to be like Q&A for the audience at the end, but one of the other speakers just refused to stop and went right over. And so I was like, well, I have to go. I'm sure there's questions, but anyway.
One job.
I gotta gear up my picture.
Well, now that we're live, the experiences will only get weirder, Lori.
Yeah, this is already being recorded, so. And we would have forgiven you if you were going to be a little later anyways.
Oh, seriously. And I'm like, and then I was like, okay, Zoom, great time to update. Does Zoom update every week? Like every
week? It seems like it.
Whoops, cheapers. Trying to set up my background. There we go.
There you go.
Oh, did you guys tell me I'm using the wrong background? Anyway, doesn't matter.
We like yours. Yeah, we like it.
Okay. I gotta break the rules. So I am.
All good. All good.
It's actually your background is the Great White North.
There you go.
Oh, I'm supposed to have
maybe Lori has the only correct background.
That's right.
You got a couple minutes if you want.
I gotta go grab something. Hang on.
So maybe, Connor, I'll have to get a kayak or an ultralight to get to Toronto in September.
To cross the
You
border?
could just portage.
I believe you need a document first before
Well,
that.
not if you're on an ultralight or a kayak. Only if you go over the bridge.
Well, make sure you go left, not right, because if you go over the falls, those are big. They're huge. Okay. You might not make it back from those falls.
Maybe I should just take a barrel.
A barrel would work. Make sure you get the red oak versus the white oak. Could be in trouble.
Let me know if you're doing the barrel. I want to come. I want to document that.
Totally. I want to put on one of those ponchos and get into the boat and be like, "Where's Mark? Where did he go? Where did he go?"
We'll start a new series called Searching for Syrup.
While we're making back bacon on the side of things, that would be awesome.
Well, what does everybody think? We'll wait till Connor gets back. But yeah. Okay, we should get this going.
When Connor gets back, let's all freeze.
Oh yeah.
Robert will give us away.
It's only in the background. Mr. Robert, where in the world are you?
I'm in Montreal. I was in Moncton and Fredericton this week, so I came back last night. Next week, Nova Scotia, and back to Fredericton the week after with Aron.
Good times. Awesome.
Sweet.
We might go see something get put together.
What? Interesting.
Robert, I should have told you I was just in Fredericton with my buddy Leroy.
Yesterday?
A couple days back. We decided not to take the walking bridge.
I get it. No, also I was not even supposed to go to Fredericton. We decided to go yesterday, and because we had time for another meeting, so we drove from Moncton to Fredericton. So nice drive.
Yeah, that would be.
All right. Well, let's get this kicked off. Welcome to BS and Beer Canada. This evening is all about flashings. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Aron Jones, co-founder of Big Dog Construction. And I am drinking a Greystone Pale Ale. Hand this off to our foreign correspondent, Mark Willett.
So tonight I am excited because it's the eve of International Flashing Awareness Day. It is the longest hashtag in the history of hashtags. In case you add up the letters, I'm right. So just know that that's the longest one. The third annual is coming up. I'm really excited for this conversation because without it, water wins. And yeah, I'm drinking one of those stouts in a different brand's glass. And cheers to all the folks in the beautiful backgrounds in front of me.
Well, hello, everybody. I am Sean Sanamore. I am that side of the coast, hanging out somewhere down there, which would be Vancouver. I am the VP of Operations with Clay Construction and having fun because, yes, we are 2 sleeps away from International Flashing Awareness Day. And as Mark said, hey, things got to go down and out, and a little piece of metal, a little bit of a flap that keeps the water shedding is great. I thought I'd go with a Crown Float, which is a good mix of a ginger cider and Guinness. So I got a bit of a sweet tooth. So that's what I get to drink. So appreciate the Irish Guinness beer, which I do enjoy. And I'm wearing one shirt, but I've got a few. So you might see different versions of the shirt because you should see a lot of different versions of the shirt and flashing details in 2 sleeps. and happy to be here. And I'm going to pass it on to our other co-host. So over to you.
Hey, I'm Lori Rand, and I'm just like admiring my green shirt on this background. I'm over, man, I'm gonna do this wrong. On that coast, and I'm in Halifax. And I have to tell you, flashing has never been more important than it has been this summer in Atlantic Canada. We are into we've exceeded our 30-year like average rainfall. We some parts of the of Atlantic Canada are approaching 1,000 millimeters of rain for the summer total. We're getting 50 millimeters tomorrow or Saturday. We don't know yet. And yeah, just like we're still here, but our buildings have been definitely facing an onslaught. So flashing is important over here. And I don't know which way it's going.
There you go. Hey, I'm Connor Malloy. I'm a builder and educator in Toronto. My whole upper chest is covering where I live. We're kind of in the middle. Flashing to me is really important. I grew up in a renovation business, so our whole life was taking apart structures that we wanted to change for a client based on their aesthetic preferences. But really, we uncovered a lot of decay and rot, and nothing teaches you a lot about how a building fails than taking it apart. And I think right now airtightness is having a moment, which is wonderful, learning about airtightness. But most importantly, we have to also keep championing water management and managing water getting up and out, and flashing is a huge part of that. So I'm looking forward to tonight.
I guess we're going to get Robert to introduce himself too.
Hey, I'm Robert Bozon, Regional Sales Manager for Uber for Canada. I'm from Montreal, but traveling every week. So I'll be in almost every region except Mark for now. Hey, Mark, cheers to Bray Wyatt.
Amen. Shine the light.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if everybody's ready, we'll kick off this conversation about flashing. At any time, anybody has a question or an idea or a thought, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to answer things as we go along. No, I think I've messed it up. All right, we're going to try that again. I'm not sharing the screen yet, am I?
You're sharing the wrong screen.
Yeah.
You got your lovely notes.
Right.
You have to start the slideshow from the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I did. I clicked on it. Oh, it worked this time. I guess I just didn't double
You're
click
sharing
it.
the wrong screen.
Okay. We'll try this again. How about now? All right, what is a flashing? Is this coming up for everybody? I hope it is.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, good. All right, what is a flashing? What is a flashing? It's important we define what a flashing is. Obviously, it has to be impervious to water. So it doesn't really matter what the material is, a metal, a membrane, a plastic. What's important is that it has to be durable. It has to be resilient. You don't want a flashing that is going to break down or degrade in a couple of years. You want something that's going to last 100, 200, 300 years or more. You're going to find flashings all kinds of exterior locations of the building. Roof, literally right down to grade. Walls, any point of penetration. Part of your WRB or your building envelope, and basically any type of construction joint, anytime two items meet or there's a change in plane. I don't think there's really one flashing that's probably more important than the other. The thing is it has to have the intent of directing water down, out, and away. That's probably the most important thing. All right. Successful flashing details like this one here. Sean, you may recognize this little detail here. They have to function first. It's wonderful if you can make a flashing detail pretty or beautiful, but if it doesn't function, if it doesn't direct or manage water and force it out and away from the building, it really doesn't matter. All right, these are going to be some good details. Now, not all of them are necessarily beautiful, but they do function. So head flashing with an end dam. Obviously, this is somewhere in the middle of construction. The top of that flashing will get taped or sealed, I would assume. It's another detail of an end dam and a head flashing. And if you notice, there's two different types of tape there. I don't know if everybody can see that, but that flashing is actually taped back to the sheathing, and then the WRB comes down and gets tied into it. So not only is it a correct flashing detail, but it's also maintaining your air barrier as well. It's another great detail. Again, the flashing gets tied right back to the wall. That's not required in every situation, but it's definitely one that I prefer. It just builds in a redundancy. Anytime you see a flashing tied all the way back to the sheathing, it means if something above that happens to make it to the sheathing as it's running downhill, it's going to have the opportunity to exit. And that's really, other than directing, these flashings like this allow water to exit the building. And that's really what's important. We want to get it out and away. All right, so here, if you notice along the side of the roof line down at the bottom, we have a really well done kick out flashing. That's really important. Any water running down that roof against that wall is going to hit that point and go out and away instead of just rolling down over and affecting the wall underneath it or the sheathing underneath it. Now, here's a couple of kick-out flashings that, although they're a little more primitive and not as nice as the one we see with the cladding with the shingles on, they function. It's not perfect, but they work. And really, that's the most important part again. It has to function. So here we've got some sill flashings. This is a liquid flash with a slope sill. I think we're going to start to see more and more liquid flashings as time goes on, as people become more used to them. One great thing about any liquid flashing is that if you apply it in one go, it's truly monolithic. And even if you don't apply it in one go, if you come back the next day, they're completely self-terminating. You don't have to worry about overlap or anything like that. So that's a really unique thing we can look at as far as liquid flashings go. And there's several different types out there. These are just a few that are available. This is a different type of sill flashing. This is a Risong Gray from Sega. The gray is not available in Canada yet. The corners will be available soon, but I believe that's actually my hand, and I'm pointing to a pre-made corner. I don't think I have a pre-made corner in this presentation, but I can find one afterwards pretty easily. Again, another way of flashing a sill. Actually, I believe this is a door sill, and you can see the 3M is actually making a pan against an existing flooring. So it's a great way to incorporate a pan. And depending on what climate zone you're in, you may not want to use a metal pan. There's actually some arguments for staying away from a metal pan once you get above probably about 5. If you've ever seen frost on the inside of a window, you can imagine what a piece of metal, whether it's copper, stainless, or 22 gauge that goes from the outside to the inside is going to do in the middle of January. We've got a moldable flashing tape, a stretch tape there. This one happens to be from Zip, from Uberwood. And again, another great way to protect your sill. Probably one of the most common areas of failure I've run into over the years is underneath windows and doors. And it usually just kind of triangles out. You know, it spreads the lower you go. Again, we have another detail here. This is a water table flashing. Some people would call it a kick-out flashing as well. I've always referred to any flashing that is at the bottom of the sheathing, above the foundation as a water table flashing. It's a holdover from older designs. Works really well to protect old stone foundations if you're doing a renovation as well. Another version of it, slightly different. Now you see this flashing is outboard. It's there just strictly to deal with bulk water, but that has to do with the detailing that's already behind that rain screen. And again, just another version. This one goes right down and ties into the foundation, just really protecting the bottom edge of your sheathing and making sure that no water ends up lingering there. Also a great way to manage your continuous air barrier. Any of these metals that stick down over top of the foundation, there's usually some way to incorporate a backer rod and some sealant just to tie in your air barrier. I know we're all about flashings, but if I can throw a little bit of air barrier details in there as well, they really do go hand in hand once you get into them. Really happy that Bob was able to send this detail to me. If you don't know Bob, I'll introduce him later on, but I was having a hard time finding in my archives a really good counter flashing. And one of the great things about a counter flashing is you don't have to remove an existing, or you don't have to necessarily change your wall, or in this case, your cap, to deal with a flashing or a roof system. The counter flashing can be easily removed. You can replace the component you need to replace, excuse me, and then put your counter flashing back in place. Some cases you don't even have to remove the counter flashing. You just pull the flashing below it. This would be one of those cases. It's not very clear in the picture, but the upper flashing that ties into the brick is a counter flashing. The lower flashing can easily be removed without disturbing the brick, and roof work could be repaired or replaced. The flashing can go back in place without touching the brick or the counter flashing. Probably, or I shouldn't say probably, hopefully we're going to start to see more counter flashings used in the residential market, especially on end wall flashings. That way, the next person is already set up for success. Again, we've got a few more end wall and counter flashings. If you notice on the stone wall, we've got an end wall flashing on the standing seam roof, and it tucks quite nicely underneath the counter flashing. So this is a great example where whatever roof work is required, you remove the flashing, repair, replace the roof, slide the flashing back in underneath the counter flashing. You don't have to disturb the stone in this case. Just another great detail. Again, metal standing seam roof, flashing, counter flashing. So this isn't very clear, but this is, I'll bring up the next picture. So this is a close-up view of a deck flashing. There's a couple things going on here. There's actually a bladder system underneath this deck. So you have an EPDM membrane that wraps up, ties into the sheathing, and then you have a steel flashing that comes down over top of that just to kind of protect this connection point. And, you know, you don't have to worry about UV. And then you see the shims that just allow for continuous drainage. I know Connor definitely has experience with renovations, and I know some of the other people here do as well. But if you want to learn about what works on a building and what doesn't work on a building, take a few apart. Quite literally, as soon as you start repairing existing structures, you're going to find out, you know, what makes them win and what makes them fail. And having this little gap here that everything can breathe and debris doesn't get trapped, that's a win. There's different ways to accomplish it, but anytime you can give your decking some type of space, or space the ledger board for that matter, always a great way to deal with it. Now, the bad. So this roof was applied over top of an existing roof. Obviously, the shingles on the sidewall were not removed to properly flash anything. It appears as though there was a bit of an attempt to kind of slide something in here. And then we have all this wonderful surface caulking. Not the best way. You're over time creating a funnel. And if anybody has to actually find the leak, it's darn near impossible without really tearing things apart. This is an example underneath where a roof comes down and you have another sidewall here. There was no kick-out flashing. You can see all this damp OSB here. It's not horrible, but a kick-out flashing would have kept water from running down that sidewall. We have another example. There was no kick-out flashing on this roof above. The eaves trough may have possibly leaked as well based on those dark lines, but there was nothing to stop water from funneling down. And as far as design goes, anytime you have a window or a door that close to a funnel, it rarely ends well. So, and if you do bad details, you might get that look. More of the bad, again, kick-out flashing would have gone a long ways here. You can see behind this hardy board, or I'm not sure if this was actually hardy board, but it was definitely a cement board siding. You've got some growth happening here. And again, just a simple kick-out flashing to ensure that any water coming down here was funneled into the eaves trough. Again, a long ways. I'm not sure if the kick-out flashing would have helped completely with all the ice here, but it definitely would have been a step in the right direction. And really, the ice is just showing what happens all the time when it rains. Anytime there was a heavy rain and the eaves trough approached capacity, there would have been that happening on the wall anyways. So again, bad flashings, do bad flashings. Somebody might give you, yeah, don't do it. So we've got a few things going on here. Obviously, probably not much of a sill pan here. All we've got is paper and window right over top of it. So highly doubtful there's any type of sill pan. Actually, I know there wasn't. And eventually a window is going to fail. So you have to set the structure to structure up to succeed for when the window fails. Here's another example. This upper window, no sill pan, just paper, and all the water that would run down this arch just kind of collected here and obviously caused some rot. So, our structures, although they're incredibly strong in some ways, they're incredibly frail in others. So anytime we can take the opportunity to use a pan flashing of any type just to help manage these water issues, isn't that old and shouldn't be in this situation, but it was. And again, you do bad details, you're going to get that look. Halo disapproves of not using a sill flashing. So again, some of the right intent here, and you can't know what you don't know. And I've said that for a very long time. I don't believe I coined the phrase, but you can't know what you don't know. And I never judge anybody by what they don't know. But once you do know better, and if you don't do better, then yeah, you deserve a little judgment. Now, this end wall flashing, obviously, surface mounted, and I think it's pretty easy to see where any water hitting this wall is going to be going. It's unfortunate, but I see this far too often, and I'm sure some of you see it as well. But that's part of what International Flashing Awareness Day is about. Is let's try and help prevent things like this from happening. Let's help educate people so that we don't see this happen. It's not an up close picture, but I think you can fairly easily tell. Again, that's surface mounted. We can't zoom in right now, but I can pretty much tell you what's going on that side as well. Yep, don't do bad flashing, so you'll get that look from Mark. So we've got a little bit more going on here, and this one is kind of funny. And again, you can't know what you don't know, but this structure was already repaired once before I was there to attend to a leak. So the window was replaced because it was leaking. Here, a few years later, well, more than a few years later, but less than a decade later, I'm replacing a window again. So not once, but twice in the same location. I don't know of any better way to actually say, hey, maybe we put something on the sill to direct water down, out, and away. And again, don't do bad flashings. Sean will give you the look. I don't know if that's like an angry look. That's more of a cringy look. Like, you didn't flash that, man.
I think he looks constipated.
Oh, now for the ugly. And when I say the ugly, these are real consequences of not using proper flashing details. And that's not to say that I've always done everything correctly either, because I most certainly haven't. But again, it goes back to you can't know what you don't know. But once you do know, you should be obligated, morally and otherwise, to do a better job. You want to protect the structure. So there's more going on here than meets the eye, but as you can see, there's been issues and there's been layers and layers and layers added in attempt to remedy the situation. there's more going on above the deck, but the deck is not correctly flashed and water is just streaming down there. Again, from underneath the same deck. Fortunately, that part there was just mostly OSB. There was some structural damage, but you're going to get the look if you do ugly work. It'd be more funny if Steve was here with us tonight, but. So again, this is on an outside corner of a building, but there is a deck above and it is just allowing water to pile up. More from the same corner. The deck has been removed at this point, but just a little bit of everything going on. And I should mention on this particular structure, the deck was mounted over top of the siding. There was no flashing of any type. It was just literally nailed right on over the cedar shingles. Again, do ugly flashings. This is probably mid-repair of a project. So we'll say 2.5 stories, where the exterior had to be completely replaced. So at this time, a portion of this had already been replaced or fixed 7 years or 8 years prior. And I believe at that point in time, the building was still under 20 years old at the time of this repair. So that should speak volumes to, some of our building practices. I mean, obviously we have to build for our environment, but if we're building structures that succumb to water and they're only 20 years old, we got to relook at what we're doing. We have to seriously take stock and go, okay, what are we doing wrong? How do we make it better? In this case, there were several things that were going on. Sill flashings were an issue. A couple of windows were an issue. Head flashings were non-existent. But again, you can't know what you don't know. And as long as somebody is continuously getting better, you can't really hold them at fault. Also, 20 years ago, a lot of the stuff that's enforced by code today was not. And that's, part of the reason that code is changing and progressing is we're trying to get better at what we do. This is a particularly interesting project. So basically you have 2 stories facing the ocean that 90% of the demo here was done with bare hands. Basically, the windows had all become structural components of this wall because the wall was starting to fall down on itself. Again, there was a lot of bad details here, and I should note too that bad details aren't always the installer's fault. The installer should, make note and raise their voice if something is not correct in their opinion. But sometimes architects and sometimes engineers have bad details, and as a tradesperson, it's your job to voice your opinion that this could be better. But sometimes you also have to follow the project spec, and I think that may have been what happened here, and I'm not entirely sure, but more photos from the same project. And as you can see, water was basically pouring into this structure from day one. At the time that this was exposed, I believe the addition on this building was around 12 years old. So you have to ask yourself how much water was going in, over 12 years for a building to dry rot to this point. If you notice on the right-hand slide, you have an insert window and there's no sill flashing of any type there. You have a bit of high par, I believe. That's it. Again, do ugly work. You might get the look. It's more of the same. I won't say that this is the absolute worst I've ever seen, but this particular project, only being 12 years old, was pretty brutal. I've run into a few others that were just as bad, but pre-IG, I didn't do great work. Well, I won't say I didn't do great work documenting rot. I just didn't. I didn't hang on to the documentation. I didn't curate it. Once the report was filed and stuff was sent off and the job was done, it would go into a box, and 7 years later, it would go out with everything else. So again, just literally reached right in there and pulled half the 2x6s out to, expose the wire. Again, somebody will give you the look. So you can see what's left of the structure there, because you've got to have a point load there to carry the roof above, and there's nothing. So wood always amazes me in that regard, because it does such an excellent job of somehow, when everything tells you this should be falling down or should have fallen down, somehow it still manages to stay together. I don't know if this particular structure would have survived one more big storm where it experienced wind straight on. Just incredible. Again, do ugly flashings. This is going to happen. Just more of the same. And again, you can see no sill flashings here. As you can see, the structure is starting to be put back together, basically picking it apart, putting it together, working from the bottom up. Just trying to maintain as much of possible of the structure above. Just more of the same. You can see some of the stuff starting to grow on the ends of the joists. I don't believe I have any pictures of some of the things found inside the drywall, but we all know that stuff like this starts to affect our indoor air quality, and we just got to do our best to keep water out, because not only does it kill the building, it affects how you live in that building. Again, gonna get the look. So somebody said this to me, and he said it to many other people, but when it comes to flashings, Aron, don't do stupid things, eh? And I think that was really good advice from Dr. Joe. If you don't know who Dr. Joe is, send me a message after. I'd be happy to tell you. Actually, anybody in this group would be happy to tell you who Joe is. He might have wrote the book that he signed there. Little hint. Okay. Basically, here's some resources. If you're not sure how to flash something, or even just unsure of your procedure or even your sequence, because you can do everything right, but if it's out of sequence, sometimes that doesn't work as well. Fine Home Building, Green Building Advisor, JLC Online, all really great. Pro Tradecraft, Building Science Corporation, Tapco Tools. has a lot of how to bend flashings right there. And also, don't be an ass, ask. And ask your construction community. Reach out to a friend or anybody on BS and Beer Canada for that matter. There's all kinds of people that are willing to help you. All you have to do is ask. And generally speaking, if somebody doesn't know, they probably know somebody who does know. So International Flashing Awareness Day, third annual, will be this Saturday, August 26th. It was founded in 2021. That's me with my oldest grandchild, Halo. We just happened to be out there visiting for the first annual, and it's really out of just create awareness about proper flashing details. Like, how do we manage water? How do we keep the ugly from happening? We just don't want to see the ugly. That's what this is all about. Anything based on flashing, you can post that day. The good, the bad, the ugly, it really doesn't matter. Products that work, products that you believe do a better job than others for you where you work, boils down to we just want to share our experience, share our knowledge, increase awareness of proper details. And I would add proper sequence. So really, like August 26th, post something. Tag me, bigdogconstruction.gm. Use the hashtag International Flashing Awareness. It's really not all about the shirt. It's about awareness. That's really what it's about. The shirt helps, even though Sean can't put his on the right way, but it does help. Oh. Anyways, just like to briefly thank some of the partners that helped support International Flashing Awareness Day this year. Just make it a little bigger, a little better. SIGA North America is a returning partner. Benjamin Obdike really stepping up their game on social media to bring awareness to International Flashing Awareness Day. Offsite Dirt, the stuff in the background that nobody sees that they did amazing. Sashko, if you just want to meet a group of people that get things done and make things happen, they did a lot of stuff in the background that nobody will even imagine and made this feasible. Nightingale Designs, thank you as always for the shirts. Really came in clutch this year to make sure the shirts got off the press in time and worked out well. And I'd also like to throw another thank you out to Gina. She's at Big Dog Life ×3. This evening's presentation wouldn't have been possible without her. She really did a lot of the legwork to put this presentation together, and there's a lot of stuff she does in the background that lets me do the things that I do, and the administration to help keep International Flashing Awareness Day going is just she's a powerhouse. If you don't know her, you should. She is somebody who gets things done. Anyways, thank you very much. I've got a couple more things just to quickly show people. Know if I can stop sharing here. There we go. So this is one of the pre-made corners that we're going to be seeing in Canada here very shortly. So it's already made. I might have to get rid of my background. Oh well. No, not working. Anyways, we'll worry about that another time. These are great too for pipe penetrations. There's a lot of different versions out there. Quick flash, this one's made by SIGA. There's ones for line sets, just a single number 14 wire, anything you can think of. Try that back here again. Almost. Anyways, pay attention to International Flashing Awareness Day. There's a ton of products out there that work really well for different situations. And thank you very much. I don't know if we have any questions or people want to weigh in on anything. Hi, Michael.
Hey,
Great
Michael.
presentation.
Yeah, bravo, Aaron. First off, we're gonna give you a clap as you're having a sip of your beverage. You highlighted so many interesting things about flashings, and I mean, I know in our career we take it for granted about down and out and how it works so well. I mean, for me, I lived through the leaky condo industry here in Vancouver, where like all the pictures you showcase were like horror pictures that I've seen time and time again from buildings and buildings. And you're right, the fact that you could grab your hand into a wall and pull out wood is incredible. And some of the things you just highlighted again is just can be easily avoided by the simple details you discussed. I really appreciate how you went through kind of the list of different type of flashings.
I missed a few, but
yeah, I'm amazed of just where metal could be applied for good details. And then you talk about, industry, trying to get people in the industry. There is a lack of people that know how to bend flashings. And so you're looking at a career, boy, you could go on any job site and you could start almost immediately because people don't know how to bend flashings. And now that we're looking at different wall assemblies, metal flashings is key, even just starting with sills. I've luckily I found a friend who is gifted
you have a good
metal,
guy.
and I'm super grateful and lucky for it because the details you're
He's
showing
over there.
they're in the good. Yeah, so we're good. So anyhow, great stuff, Aaron. Anyone else want to say any highlights?
Yeah,
I'll just throw. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, I just want to say, I everything you showed, it's what we see out there. We see a lot of decay and rot. I think the sad and unfortunate part is so much of that project and that client's home had a lot of intention and care. So the time that's put into the layout of the kitchen and the finish and how the countertop or the backsplash sits on top and how those reveals are done. I think if clients knew really the durability that's at play when they're considering who's making the drawings and who's being hired to install the windows and who's responsible, I think, for that water management layer, I think is really crucial to understand. And it goes back to what we're all saying is around you can't be held accountable for things you don't know. I do work at a trade school where until last year we were teaching hundreds of carpenters but didn't have breaks in the school. It wasn't part of the curriculum, but we're teaching people how to frame and build buildings. So we did go out and buy 4 breaks. They're now in the school to make sure when we're talking about window installation, we're not just showing a drawing of a flashing, but we're manually practicing how to bend that header flashing, bend that sail flashing, bend that kickout flashing to give people that sort of that visceral memory of what it feels like. And I think that's where it starts, is trying to get people involved as early as possible, show them what a break is, make sure it's not this thing that only your siding trade has. And then it becomes easier help to understand and to actually do it on a job site. So yeah, I love this topic.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan, and really like some of how International Flashing Awareness Day came to be is a friend of mine started calling me the Rot Hunter, and we were like, he was making fun of Crocodile Hunter. He'd be like, on today's episode of the Rot Hunter, let's see what Aaron has found, and then you pull out like another chunk of the building. But I agree, Connor. It's like somebody has spent sometimes everything they have and borrowed from the bank to build this structure, and they're still paying for it, or maybe everything they've had, their life savings, their retirement is tied up in this, and 12 years later you're doing not $1,000 worth of work, not $10,000 worth of work, but 50, 60, 80, $100,000 worth of work, depending on now I've made some pretty good a pretty good living over the years, fixing some of these structures. There's a number of apartment buildings, low-rise apartment buildings, where I would go in and we would literally open up a 16-foot swath, 3.5 stories high, replace the exterior wall, replace the balconies, put it all back together, move over 16 feet, do the same darn thing. Not always balconies, but you just replaced exterior wall 16, 20 feet at a time. And some of those structures were only, 7 years old, but it was a combination of sometimes bad design, bad sequencing, not understanding the sequencing, and probably quality control as well. And those, I don't know where we find the magic to make it all work, because most people who build these buildings, even if they do have a failure, they legitimately care about what they do. There's a very small percentage of people that are actually, trying to just pull the wool over somebody's eyes. I'd say probably 95% of the people doing work actually care about what they're doing, and they don't want to see this happen. So I think we just keep educating and hope it works out. And we need more Connor Malloys teaching the next generation how to do this.
I think what's hard, Aaron, is just picking up what you're saying is water damage, like you showed, is really slow. It's not acute. It happens over a decade. And if you're the builder who built that project, again, I agree, they care a lot about what they're building. If you don't get a chance to come back and see your work, let's say at the home's been sold at someone else, I think it's hard for you to understand how catastrophic some of your in-house details or your subtrades work has really, what it's really led to. And I think the more we can show examples, it's not about pointing fingers, it's about educating. I think it's how we understand and go, holy crap, like that place is beautiful, but again, 80 grand in failure. My dad's fixing a cottage for a client right now. He's a builder in Ontario, and they bought a cottage that was 10 years old, and they were replacing all the cladding on the entire building, pulling all the windows out, reinstalling all the windows, all new sheathing, because there's no head flashing, no sill flashing, no kickout flashing. This place is 10 years old. That's $100,000 to $200,000 bill. And I think it's almost normal that we're used to it while the rot happened, because there's so much of it happens. So I think the more we can talk about it and teach people how to flash, it'd be awesome.
Just a quick funny story. I went to replace an exterior door one time. This is just like quick job. And I was like, wow, this door isn't very old. And the lady of the house said, yeah, 7 years old, so it's due. And I was like, what do you mean it's due? And she's like, well, that's about how long a door lasts. That's how long the one before this one lasted. And I was like, like this was not an amazing door. It was like your standard builder grade steel exterior door. But 7 years? No. 27 years? Okay. But not 7. And I want to see clients educated as well. Because I think especially young tradespeople, they sometimes fall into the budget trap. They want to do really good work, but they got to eat. So they maybe don't do everything they want to do, but they think they've done everything right. But sometimes you miss that. We got A, B, D, and E, but C, whoops. And that little thing is when somebody comes back 10, 15 years later, they see the results. And it's the little things, but we just keep educating. That's all we can do.
Yeah, that's a shame you talk about doors. I mean, I just came back from Europe and saw these amazing, massive doors that are bigger than life that have lasted 300 to 500 years, and you're just in awe. And you just and you look at the details. Like it's not big magical things. It's like the little things that just keep water away. And if you do it well, guess what? Like these will last like lifetimes, not just one lifetime, many. So the photos you showcase are just always appalling. Because when you know, And when these things aren't happening, it's just again, it makes us go to work in the morning and it gives us some stuff, but we don't want to be redoing poor work when we know we could do good things. And again, it's why Saturday is here.
Did Leo have a question? I think he had a question a little while ago.
I think you're right. He did. So Leo, if you want to hop in whenever you want, glad to see what's going on. Look at those stickers.
Amazing. Oh, you're muted. Or
Aron was so kind to send me this stuff. I'm very bad at posting on social media, so I figured I would make this my social media post for you guys. And I don't know if anyone's come up with this before. If not, I'm gonna be proud and gleaming with joy. But I think if no one else has come up with it, then I just came up with your slogan for Flashing Awareness Day. Protect, redirect, avoid regret.
like it.
I like it. I like it a
Mhm.
lot.
That's all I have to say. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all. Thank you for all your education. I've mostly, I'm at the beginning of my learning curve and haven't really mostly only done interior stuff, very little exterior stuff. So I'm very, very green on the flashing. Literally, this kind of green.
Well, I hope someday you eclipse us all, Leo.
We'll see. You all have laid out some very big shoes to fill there. Anyway, thanks everything, guys.
Only Connor's got the big shoes.
It's just stability. It's like a footing, right? I'm like a 6-story building, and I've got really low density soil. I just need more bearing capacity.
Well, Leo, thanks for joining us, and appreciate
Mhm.
your commitment to your project and to others. And boy, you're wearing those stickers proudly. That's fantastic.
I
don't
kind of
think
want to
anybody's
see a presentation of
done that.
Leo's house after seeing these snippets every month. I don't know.
I agree.
Actually, Leo, you could do that. It just like once a week, just take a photo from the same spot at the same angle, and just like once a week, just post that. Just boom. You know,
Okay. I mean, I really need to be wrapping this up now. My management is not very pleased with my non-progress.
Documentation is important, Leo, and
Oh,
the
for
effort
sure.
and attention to detail is a given. I mean, we see it through the lens of your phone. I can't imagine how thrilling you feel, seeing it before your very eyes.
It's for sure a labor of love. I would not be able to afford to put the hours I'm spending here into a client's home.
So
it's also my learning curve here, right? So this is my education. So that's also why it's taking longer.
Did you hear the story, Leo, about the retiring carpenter?
No, I don't think that exists.
So the carpenter was ending the tail end of his career and really was a bit worn and torn and ready to hang up his shoes and his belt. So every day the carpenter went to work and cut some corners and finished a bit early and stashed some materials on the side and continued to finish the project because the team he had worked with for 30 years asked if they could just do one more. Kept cutting corners, kept pushing through, and kept stashing some necessary materials to the side. the project was finished, and that carpenter said, well, thank you folks, and I wish you well. And there was a lot of tears in the room. The owner of the construction company handed the carpenter the keys and said, that last house is for you. And so I think you understand what that means when you had said, you know, it'd be hard to afford to do this for the client. And this is always a reflection, right? You're doing something from you, and we never know when the next house is going to be ours or someone else's. So, you know, we don't know if that story is true, but I hope we can all appreciate it.
I guess I said that without you guys knowing how long this actually has really taken. And like how there's a lot of other things going on in my life as well on the side with ADHD and mental health, where I've been struggling a bit. So that's why I say that. But no, of course, like I will always give 150 to 200% for a client. It's just when I say I wouldn't spend this long, I mean that literally, because it's been too long.
Well, I could tell
Couple
you,
things, Leo.
in the world of stories, Leo, I have a similar path. In school, I was diagnosed with ADHD or OCD. I don't know. I couldn't pay attention, but I was diagnosed with it. And I'm telling you, in our industry, there's a lot of folks that have that. And in fact, it's what makes us good at what we do.
I completely agree. And the best, the absolute best ADHD coach, I have now found, like I've tried a few. The best ADHD coach is a former contractor. And I've also like I want to see if he might want to present on ADHD with, I don't know, maybe the Modern Craftsman or one of the other trade focused podcasts or something. I want to reach out and see if they're interested, because the amount of people on here or on other podcasts I hear and see where I recognize my own kind. There's definitely we're definitely a strong presence here, for sure. No, it's a superpower if well managed. The problem is I'm still learning to manage it.
Anyways, Leo, don't feel bad about how long that's taken. You're now part of the crowd where you're going to be able to drive down the streets, and you're going to be able to pick out the other carpenters' houses. Okay, you're going to be able to tell that's a carpenter's house because,
yeah,
you know, that siding is half done, or looks like he's got a good start to a deck. But
architects' houses too.
Funny story though. A few like weeks or months ago, I was walking down my street, and we this is a Century home, and there's a whole bunch of other Century homes. You know, it's a historic town. It's Uxbridge, Ontario, for anyone who's interested. And I happened to like look at the plaques of the houses that are directly adjacent to me, and I kid you not, almost 3 of them in a row, sort of to the left of our house, carpenter, like have historic plaque that says, you know, family so and so lived here, profession carpenter, like next house, family so and so, professional carpenter. So it's interesting. It seems like we happen to end up on Carpenter's Row here.
And don't feel bad about the learning curve. Some of the first jobs that I did on my own, you know, when I actually finished the job and looked at the hours I put into it versus what I bid to do the project, it wasn't good.
Oh no,
you know, but
I'm painfully aware of that.
it gets better, I assure you.
Yeah, no, it does. And like the amount of stuff I've learned throughout this process here in like across all trades, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, roofing, masonry it's amazing. So yeah. All right.
Well, what does everybody think?
I think I've got nothing to share. That was,
No, it was awesome.
yeah, it was wonderful.
Okay.
It makes
Well,
me feel pin flashing.
You can't top the involvement from Leo. He's diehard
I
of
know.
working and learning.
Yeah.
I can't even walk and chew gum, but he's working and learning.
Yeah.
I think
I just
so.
want to go get some Flash Me stickers.
They're spot on.
You shouldn't have
Look
shouldn't
at
have sent
you.
them all to me. You shouldn't have sent them all to me.
Oh, we might know where there's a few more. Oh.
So I can't wait, Aaron. There's going to be Saturday morning is going to be flooded. If anyone is looking for something to do on Saturday and Sunday, please tune into Big Dog Construction on Instagram. You are going to see a whole lot of nice unboxings. Gina, you are the pinnacle of rock stars, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the International Flashing Day presentation here today.
Cool. Anyways, I know you got to run, Connor. I think we're wrapping this up.
Awesome.
Anyways, and thank you, Leo. Protect, redirect, avoid regret. Or you might get the look. Maybe Sean will give us one look.
Where I'm curious, Aaron, where in your body is that being tattooed? Do you have room left? Or is it like a full body?
I'm just, you're gonna have to tune in Saturday. You might see something.
It's getting the sleeve. It's getting done up Saturday.
I actually probably will get the Flash Me logo somewhere. I mean, it's too much fun.
or Aaron's just gonna go for the mullet flashing with a lot of hairspray or something.
Nice.
You can do that with your beard too, and do a kick-out flash just there.
Nicely shaped. Yes, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Mark can do it.
Definitely.
Oh.
I'll see you guys on Instagram on Saturday, and next month is the third Wednesday of the month, right? Or Thursday of the month, right?
Third Thursday of the month next month.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, everybody, this is lovely seeing you all. I'll see you next
Yeah.
week.
Yes.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Enjoy, everybody.